Lara, beautiful. Do you want to unmute? I know you had a question about Rolfing or whatever else you want to jump on. And Kat, I don't know if you had a question, but you're next.
Hi, thank you so much. Thank you, Sylvia. Thank you, Luther. This has been so amazing. Yeah, my question actually has to do with diet. So I have I don't know if it's like multiple food sensitivities or what it is today, but like years ago I was diagnosed with leaky gut syndrome and was like sensitive to all these different kinds of foods, and since then I've been on this journey of healing, and I have always felt like I'm not gonna have that complete healing until I'm supposed to have like this perfect diet, because I have Hashimoto's. So there's this whole idea of like my health is waiting at the end of this like perfect diet that I have to do for God knows how long. And I'll try it, and I'll fall off the wagon, I'll try it again, and I'll fall off. And it's just like it's very difficult. So I guess I'm wondering how much food, when it's not like bad food, I'm talking about like cheese. I know some people think that's bad, but not necessarily like junk food like cookies and chips and stuff, but I mean like dairy, or even gluten, that sort of a thing. How much does the food contribute to overall healing if, let's say, I were to go through this whole stretching process and kind of heal the physical things that are going on?
Yeah, that's a great question. Nutrition is key. It's a big part of tissue health, but a big part of nutrition that is not talked about too much is you can put all of the best foods in your body, but if your organs aren't functioning, they're not going to absorb that food properly. So you could put in the best organic this, the best high nutrient that, but if your gallbladder is not released, if the bile is not being produced, or if the small intestine's not getting the proteins, or the large intestine's not absorbing the water, or whatever is happening with the organs, then all that nutrition is not really getting absorbed. And so then it's like you have to be perfect with your diet, which is not really, that's not really the solution, right? I do think some things with diet are important to consider. I personally stopped eating gluten. That was one of the first things I did, and I found that I was able to digest foods much better. In terms of cheese, I like eating raw goat cheese, raw sheep cheese. So there are certain considerations that I make in terms of my diet. But typically, it's really the health of the organs that's at play when it comes to anything that's going to require a very, very strict diet. You want a combination, you want a combo approach. And so there are specific muscle groups that you can target that can facilitate more and better functioning in organ health. And a lot of that is you can look into traditional Chinese medicine and you can see the meridians and where they run through in very specific muscle groups. And then if the large intestine, for example, is an issue, you might try stretching out your upper traps. And that way you're, instead of using pressure or needles to affect the energetic channel that is associated with that organ according to traditional Chinese medicine principles, you're using instead leverage to target those muscle groups with force, which then changes the configuration of the muscle and the fascia, which then can allow more energy to move through your body to affect the organ. Also, when a muscle group is tight and full of dense tissue, not only is it affecting the energetic pathways through the body, but it's literally putting pressure on the organ, right? So if there's a muscle group in your lower body that's rotating your thigh, causing substitution in your pelvis, it's literally putting pressure on your bladder. So no wonder the person is having to urinate 5 or 6 times a day, or at night when they're sleeping or whatever. And the same thing can be said for the stomach and the pancreas and all the digestive organs. And so identifying which organs are under too much physical pressure would then allow you to change the muscle group associated with that pressure, which then takes pressure off the organ. So then the blood flow can go through, and there's more oxygen and there's less tenseness, and then the organ can function more optimally. So you could look into Chinese medicine, look at the digestive organ meridians and see where those run through in your body, and then stretch the muscle groups associated with those. That's one approach. And then also, just from a biomechanical standpoint, see try to feel where in your torso you're feeling pressure, perhaps, and identify how you can use your legs and arms as levers to affect that part of your torso to give more space for your organs to do what they need to do. Um, and then that combined with, I think there is something to be said about anti-inflammatory foods. Healthy oils are crucial, and healthy proteins are crucial. Balance of carbohydrates is a very important factor. And staying away from chemical intervention, food, modified foods, I think is an important thing to consider. And all of that should be a little bit more, it should be much easier instead of it being, I think there's power in doing juice fasts and all sorts of nutritional interventions, but it's more of an extreme approach. Oftentimes what happens with a person, they can come in and they're toxic as crazy. They're drinking 6 or 7, 8 cups of coffee a day. They're eating sugar, they're totally inflamed. And what happens is no problem. I'm like, you're addicted to potato chips, no problem. We're just going to keep working on these muscle groups. And then before long, they're like, I can't stand wine anymore. Like, I can't stand it. I used to have to drink it in order to relax, and now it's giving me a headache. I'm like, yeah, your body's probably not wanting the, whatever that's in the wine that's causing problems, right? And so then the person's diet becomes more natural in terms of their approach to it. Instead of it being, oh, I read this book and I read this book and I read this book and this book says this and this, it's more like, my body wants apricots right now. I don't know why. I never yet. You start to have more of a feel for healing through whole foods and also through your intuition, as opposed to it being formulaic. And so then it becomes more natural, and you can still, eat some bad ice cream every once in a while. And yeah, you're going to have some bloating and stuff, but it's not going to knock you off for the rest of the month. You should be more adaptable that way. And that's been my experience and what I've seen in a lot of other people too.